You have less than 24 hours. That's how long it takes for organized looter crews to mark, map, and exploit your home once chaos hits your neighborhood. Listen to this. After Hurricane Ian tore through Florida, over 62% of looting incidents happened within the first night. During that Texas freeze in 2023, 911 response times tripled. And you know what? Over 400 homes got breached before the sun even came up. Now here's what's really terrifying. You think they're going to kick your door down like in the movies? No way. They're way smarter than that now. They test you first. They bait you. They record your patterns. And they manipulate your responses while you're still trying to figure out if that power outage is just temporary. And honestly, by the time most people realize what's happening, these guys are already inside your house. Look, if you think just locking your front door is enough protection, you're already on their target list. Because what I'm about to show you are the 10 specific traps looters use against homes like yours. And here's the scary part. Most of these traps happen before you even know you're under attack. Let's start at number 10. The Silent Scout. They call it reconnaissance, but what's really happening is psychological warfare. Professional looters spend the first hour after crisis hits, mapping your behavioral patterns through what security experts term ambient surveillance. They're not looking at your house. They're studying the rhythm of your panic. A 2024 Homeland Security analysis revealed that 73% of targeted homes were selected within the first 90 minutes of civil unrest, not because of visible wealth, but because of visible weakness. The looters know something you don't. Desperation has a signature, and it shows in how you move, how you check your locks, how many times you peer through your blinds. 9. The Trash Clue Trap, weaponizing your own garbage against you. Here's a trap that almost no one talks about, not because it's rare, but because it's so ordinary, so forgettable you don't realize you're giving yourself away. It's the trash clue trap. Looters sift through your garbage, not in the movie-style way you imagine, not digging with gloves and flashlights, but with surgical precision. According to a 2024 report by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security on post-disaster criminal patterns, residential trash left curbside becomes the #1 indirect intel source for looters in suburban zones. And here's what they're looking for. Packaging. Not what you threw away, but what you recently purchased. Boxes from a new TV. Instructions for a water filtration system. A discarded can of emergency rations. Amazon Prime labels with delivery timestamps, prescription bottles, utility bills, even crumpled to-do lists. When chaos hits, every piece of trash becomes a breadcrumb trail of your supply level, your health status, your preparedness, or your vulnerability. You're telling them whether you own pets, eat regularly, or have medical conditions worth exploiting. You're telling them if your home is stocked or worth skipping. Some of the more organized looter crews keep a neighborhood binder, literally a physical notebook or phone app, where they track homes based on Intel-grade trash. It's ranked green, non-threatening, yellow, cautiously watch, red, high value, needs surveillance. So, if you just bought a solar generator and tossed the manual in the bin, red flag. You're broadcasting that your house still has power while the neighbors are dark. And if your trash disappears, that's not the city running ahead of schedule. That's a looter removing the evidence before someone else can act on it. This is why seasoned preppers shred everything, burn packaging, and never put out trash during a blackout. Because in the first 24 hours, your garbage doesn't just rot, it talks, and criminals are listening. 8. The corridor funnel trap, forcing you into a predictable path when you step outside. Here's where things start getting tactical. Because the corridor funnel trap isn't just about watching you, it's about hurting you without you ever realizing it. Looters set this up when they want to isolate you from your home, your gear, and especially your line of retreat. The moment your house becomes silent, dark, or confused during a crisis, they place obstacles just subtle enough to seem random. An old trash bin lying on its side, a fallen branch positioned across the walkway, a misplaced bicycle, or even a broken piece of fencing leaning inward. Individually, these things look like storm debris or simple clutter, but together they shape a tight, predictable path, exactly like the funnels used by hunters to direct deer toward a choke point. During the 2024 Gulf Coast hurricane response, emergency management teams logged over 190 cases of homeowners being funneled into narrow walkways created by objects placed earlier in the day. The victims didn't notice because adrenaline makes you hyper-focused on the destination, not the path. So, what happens? You step outside to check damage, investigate noise, or retrieve a barking dog, and suddenly your movement is restricted to a 2 or 3 foot corridor. They know precisely where you'll step, how fast you'll move, and which angles you'll be blind to. Looters position themselves either at the end of the funnel or just behind one of the makeshift walls. And the moment you're in that channel, you're predictable. You can't pivot. You can't see left or right. They can rush you, distract you, or slip behind you to access your door while you're disoriented. Some crews take it further, creating sound funnels by placing vibrating objects like metal vents or empty cans along the path, so footsteps echo louder, helping them track your position. Others use reflective pieces of foil or broken glass to read your flashlight angles from the shadows. The corridor funnel trap isn't about attacking you. It's about neutralizing your options, because in the dark, the person with predictable movement is already defeated. 7. The Silent Recon Knock. The easiest trap they use to map your weak points. Look, before you even realize anything's wrong, the first trap looters use against your home isn't dramatic. It's not loud, and it's not some Hollywood Home Alone-style gadget. It's subtle, insultingly simple, and it works way more often than you'd want to believe. Here's the uncomfortable truth. In the first chaotic 24 hours of a disaster, when panic spreads faster than information, up to 61% of break-ins begin with nothing more than a fake courtesy knock or doorbell press, according to neighborhood watch data collected after events like Hurricane Ida and the Texas freeze. Why? Because people are still mentally wired for normal life. They think that if someone knocks, it must be harmless. Looters know this psychological lag time better than you know your own morning routine. They'll tap lightly just enough to see if your dog barks, if your kids cry, if the TV goes silent, if footsteps pause. Tiny clues that tell them how many people are inside and how alert you are. If you answer, they pretend to be neighbors checking in or someone claiming they need help. But what they're really doing is mapping your response time. Did you take 10 seconds to get to the door or 40? Did you open the door fully or barely crack it? These details determine whether you're an easy target or a time-wasting risk. And here's something most folks never consider. Looters often work in pairs with one person knocking while another filmed your reaction from a distance. Yes, they actually record you. They track which blinds move, which upstairs window shifts, even which direction your shadow falls. And that's how precise this stuff has become. In a crisis, your home becomes part of a data collection game you never agreed to play. And if your house looks quiet, or you sound unsure, or you talk through the door with hesitation, congratulations. They just flagged you as a soft approach target. In the first 24 hours, information is currency. And the Silent Recon Knock is the cheapest, most effective trap they have to get it. 6. The Mirror Van Stakeout. A mobile trap disguised as a delivery or repair vehicle. You ever see a van parked across from your house and just something doesn't feel right? Not a marked delivery truck, but those generic white vans with no branding. Sometimes with a ladder on top, sometimes with sunshades in the windshield. Sometimes just idling for hours with someone on their phone. That's not paranoia. That's a mobile surveillance trap. And it's been evolving fast. In fact, during the 2023 Canadian wildfires and the Lahaina fires in Hawaii, over 300 post-disaster thefts were linked to parked observation vehicles, vans or SUVs with blackout tent, and extended side mirrors used to track behavior on suburban streets during the first 24 hours of chaos. These vehicles don't just sit there randomly, they're mobile. Command posts for looters. Some are ex-rental vans bought at auction. Others are stolen or borrowed from gig delivery services like Amazon Flex, DoorDash, or Instacart, which allows them to blend into neighborhoods with ease. And here's the next level part. Inside those vans, criminals often use dash cams mounted on the rearview mirror, reversed to record outward. That's why they park facing your house, not away from it. Those side mirrors, not just for driving. They're used as passive reflectors to scope outdoor movement, upstairs lights, and whether your window blinds close or stay open after sunset. They're watching to see when your front door opens and whether it's unlocked longer than 5 seconds. This gives them a time-stamped pattern of your comingings and goings. Some of these setups even use cellular hotspots and signal detectors, scanning for unsecured Wi-Fi or smart home devices they can later exploit. If you've got a Ring doorbell or Nest Cam, they know it, and they know the exact angle of its blind spots by watching you leave. Most disturbing, some of these looters are former gig workers or delivery drivers who already have a layout of your porch, habits, and household patterns. The mirror van isn't just transportation, it's a probe disguised as normally. 5. The neighbor impersonation gambit, exploiting trust with surgical precision. This one is brutal because it doesn't rely on fear. It relies on friendliness. When a disaster hits and communication collapses, looters turn into chameleons. They borrow, steal, or fabricate identities on the spot, posing as the guy from 3 houses down. The woman who walks her dog at 7 a.m., or the couple who just moved in last month. In high-stress situations, your brain fills in missing details. If someone confidently says, "Hey, I'm from the blue house on the corner," your mind doesn't question it. Cognitive scientists call this the authority of familiarity response, and looters weaponize it. And during the East Coast ice storms of early 2024, police documented 41 impersonation-driven break-ins within the first 36 hours, all using the same intro, just checking if you guys are okay. They rely on 3 behaviors: you opening your door too wide, stepping outside to talk, or turning your back for even a moment. They study the neighborhood long before the crisis hits. Some even take photos of real neighbors earlier in the week and mimic their clothing. And here's the disturbing evolution of this tactic. Looters now use hyperlocal slang, neighborhood pet names, HOA references, and even the name of your mailman to gain credibility. They've scrolled your local Facebook groups. They know who just had a baby, who installed new windows, who's been complaining about the water bill. They gather micro-info and they use it to slide under your radar. Impersonators also often show up in pairs. One to talk to you, one to peer around your entryway. If they see boxes, shoes, backpacks, or supplies stacked near the door, you move to the top of their target list. If your kids peek around you, even worse. That tells them the house has valuable electronics or easy-to-control occupants. The neighbor impersonation gambit doesn't work because you're naive. It works because you're human. And in the first 24 hours of a crisis, humanity is a vulnerability criminals exploit with precision. 4. The power outage probe, cutting your electricity to watch how you react. Let's get into something far nastier because this one catches even seasoned preers off guard. When the grid is already unstable, especially during blackouts or storms, looters exploit it with precision. They perform what's called a power outage probe. This isn't theoretical. After the 2023 California rolling outages, security analysts documented a 26% spike in targeted break-in attempts within 90 minutes of a localized blackout. And a disturbing number of those outages were manually triggered by vandals flipping external breakers or yanking meter boxes. They want to see what you do when your home suddenly goes dark. Do you rush outside with a flashlight? Do you check the breaker panel? Do you leave the garage door halfway open because it jammed? Do you frantically try to restart your Wi-Fi? Every reaction tells them whether you're organized, armed, or clueless. Looters treat this like a stress test. Your home is the system, and they're measuring failure points. And here's the twist. Almost nobody realizes. They're not watching from across the street. They're watching from inside a parked car, or pretending to jog, or sitting 2 houses down pretending to charge a dead phone. They wait for you to expose habits you never noticed before. How long it takes you to grab a lantern, how quickly you gather your family, whether you speak loudly enough for them to identify how many people are in your home. If you step outside, even for 15 seconds, you're giving away more intel than a month of social media posts. Worst of all, criminals know most neighborhoods have external breakers that can be accessed with nothing but a flathead screwdriver. They don't need to be electricians. They just need you to panic. Because once they see you're disoriented or out of sync with your family's emergency plan, they know you're vulnerable. The power outage probe isn't about cutting electricity. It's about cutting your confidence. And once your confidence drops, their opportunity spikes. 3. The fake distress call, exploiting your humanity to lure you outside. This one is the cruelest because it targets your instincts, your empathy, and your basic human decency. When society cracks for even a moment, whether it's a blackout, a riot, a storm, a cyber outage, people become desperate, confused, emotional. Looters take advantage of that by staging what police departments now classify as distress lures. You'll hear someone crying for help or yelling that they're hurt or begging you to call 911. Sometimes they scream that their child is missing. And studies from the National Crime Prevention Council show that audio-based lures increased by 34% during the first day of any large-scale emergency. Because criminals know it forces good people into split-second decisions, you step outside because you think someone is hurt, and instantly you've exposed yourself, your doorway, your gear, your valuables, and the layout of your entry. And here's the dark part. They almost always position themselves just outside your visibility, behind a car, beside a fence, or in a blind corner, because they don't need you to run to them. They just need you to cross the threshold of your home. The second you open that door fully, they know 2 things. You're emotionally reactive, and your door lock is now compromised for the next 10 seconds. That's all they need. In Chicago's 2024 Civil Unrest Incident Report, several homes were targeted, not because they looked weak, but because the owners were compassion types, people known for helping neighbors. Looters weaponize kindness. They weaponize guilt. And in the first 24 hours of chaos, when 911 response times can exceed 90 minutes or not function at all, your urge to be the hero becomes the perfect trap. This technique isn't about violence, it's about leverage. And when compassion becomes predictable, criminals turn it into a tool. All right, let's talk about trap number 2, the knock and count trap. And honestly, this one's going to make you paranoid about every delivery guy for the next month. So we touched on the Silent Recon Knock earlier, but this is its more aggressive cousin. This one's nastier, more precise, and often the last check before an actual breach. Here's how it works. Looters will knock, ring your doorbell, or even bang on your door. But the goal isn't to talk to you, it's to count seconds. Specifically, they're timing how long until someone responds, how many people respond, and whether that response shows coordination or total chaos. They're building a threat profile of your family in real time. You know what? Most families have no idea they're being studied like lab rats every time someone comes to their door. Now listen to this stat. According to FBI data released in 2024 regarding civil unrest and hurricane zones, home invasions that occurred within 72 hours of a crisis were preceded by a false knock in 78% of cases, often by someone posing as a volunteer, census worker, or even an amateur medic. Think about that for a second. Nearly 8 out of 10 break-ins started with someone testing your door response. That's not a coincidence. That's a system. But here's the really scary part. The knock and count team often has audio equipment recording from a vehicle nearby or a jacket pocket. They want to hear how many people speak, whether it's kids screaming, or if a man's voice calls out but never actually reaches the door. They want to hear panic. They want to hear confusion. They want to hear you making mistakes. And if you yell, "Who is it?" from upstairs, you just told them your exact location in the house. If you're in the kitchen and shout, "Just a minute," they know you're not near any weapons. If kids are crying in the background, they know you're distracted. Even worse, if you open the door slowly and alone, you've told them everything they need to know. Your delay time, your positioning, your posture. Whether you look confident or scared, that's enough data for a precision strike. You know what some looters do next? They simulate a second knock 20 minutes later to test consistency. Did the same person answer faster this time? Slower? Did a dog bark both times or only once? Are you getting more nervous or more relaxed? Here's what one security expert told me. He said these guys are like human lie detectors. They can tell if you're alone just by how long it takes you to get to the door, if you're confident or if you're terrified. These aren't random knocks, people. They're micro-tests in a battlefield of panic. And most families fail every single one without even knowing they're being tested. During Hurricane Katrina, survivors reported strange knocks for days before actual break-ins occurred. Same thing happened during the recent wildfires. Same thing during the 2020 riots. It's always the same pattern. Test knock, wait, analyze, then strike. And in unstable times, your ability to answer with speed, strength, and unpredictability becomes your best defense. So what do you do? First, never answer predictably. A loudspeaker call out from inside. A coordinated multi-person check from separate windows. Even switching which family member answers first can break their pattern mapping. Make noise. Let them hear multiple voices. Let them think you've got backup even if you don't. Second, if someone's knocking during a crisis and you don't know them, don't open that door. Period. Real emergency workers have radios, vehicles with markings, and proper identification. But if your behavior is the same every single time, you've just passed their test. And next time, they're not knocking. They're coming in. 1. The multi-point distraction hit. The trap only skilled looters use, and the one most homeowners never see coming. This is the apex trap. The most coordinated, the most dangerous, and the most difficult to counter because it's not one trap. It's 5 at once. High-level looter crews use a method borrowed directly from organized burglary rings and cartel-style home invasions. The multi-point distraction hit. Here's how it works and why you must understand it. In the first 24 hours of a crisis, panic creates blind spots. Police are overwhelmed. Neighbors are scattered. Power is unstable. Looters use that chaos to launch simultaneous distractions at different points around your home, forcing you to split attention, make rush decisions, and expose entry points. It could be a loud bang at the back fence, a tossed rock on the roof, a triggered car alarm, a dog barking because someone walked by the side gate, and a fake knock at the door, all within 60 seconds. This isn't random noise. This is attack choreography. Security analysts studying the Portland riots documented scenarios where distraction hits predicted break-ins with over 85% accuracy. Criminals deliberately create confusion, so your brain goes into tunnel vision. You can't focus on all sounds at once. Humans physically can't. Auditory overload shuts down your ability to evaluate threats clearly. And here's the killer detail. While you're checking sound Derber 3 or number 4, they're already exploiting sound number 1. They watch which direction you run, how long you hesitate, whether you turn on lights, whether your dog follows you, or whether your spouse stays inside or comes with you. They're mapping your internal coordination, your division of labor. They want to know if you're a united defensive front or two individuals reacting separately. 1 distraction loosens your guard. 5 break your decision-making. and after that, your home becomes an unlocked vault. The multi-point distraction hit isn't sloppy, it's not panicked, it's not improvisational. It's the highest form of predatory strategy, and it's why in the first 24 hours of chaos, the most prepared homes are the ones that stay silent, coordinated, and unpredictable, while everyone else falls for noise instead of threat. They don't need a crowbar, they don't need a gun, and most of the time they never even need to break your door. All they need is your reaction, your hesitation, your trust, your routine. That's the real breach. Looters don't gamble. They test. They map. They wait. And when the system fails, when the power dies, when the sirens stop, when the cameras go offline, they move. Fast, quiet, surgical. This isn't fear-mongering. It's logistics. And if you think it won't happen here, just know every family that got hit said the same thing the day before it happened. So now ask yourself, do you know what your home sounds like in total silence? Can you secure your property without opening your door? Do your loved ones know the plan without asking questions? Because when chaos strikes, you won't have time to make decisions. You'll only have time to execute the ones you made before. Stay ready. Stay unpredictable. And understand this, survival doesn't go to the strongest.